Your Best Manager, episode 75.
And she was amazing. She said, over-communicate with me. I'm going to over-communicate with you. And just the feeling of over-communication, it actually wasn't over, it was just communication.
Yeah.
Is that I felt like she got my back. She always responded.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Your Best Manager podcast, featuring interviews with senior managers and leadership experts, as well as practical advice for first-time managers. And after today's show, be sure to hop over to yourbestmanager.com and check out the free management course, Fully Engaged in 10 Days, where you will learn 3 critical components to increasing employee engagement on your team. Have fun. Oh boy, we are talking about sexy bosses today. This is Jamie Newman here, and I am excited to be joined by Heather Havenwood today. Heather, how you doing?
I'm good. Thank you. We're talking sexy bosses. That was great. That was probably the only time I've ever been introed like that. That was classic. Thank you.
Oh, my pleasure. Heather Ann Havenwood, CEO of Havenwood Worldwide, LLC, and Chief Sexy Boss, is a serial entrepreneur and is regarded as a top authority on internet marketing, business strategies, and marketing. Since marketing her first online business in 1999, bringing together clients and personal coaches, she has played an active role in the online marketing world since before most even had a home computer. In 2006, she started, developed, and grew an online information marketing publishing company from ground zero to over $1 million in sales in less than 12 months. Heather has been named one of the top 50 must-follow women entrepreneurs for 2017 by the Huffington Post. She's also the author of Sexy Boss, How the Empowerment of Women is Changing the Rulebook for Sex, Money, and Success. So, welcome to the show, Heather. And I've just given a brief overview of how your business got started, but why don't you kick things off by giving us a summary of your career path, what inspired you to maybe start your own business, and how you got to where you are today?
Thank you for that. You said what inspired me. It was an inspiration, to be honest. It was out of what I didn't know I didn't want to do. Okay, that makes sense. So what happened was I was in the corporate world and I was B2B sales. And in that time, it was like $98, $99. I was selling B2B cellular phones, just to give you the idea of that. So this was when they were brick phones and really heavy. Okay, you're a millennial. You might not remember that, but I do. So I was in outside sales, B2B sales, and I was in corporate America, and I was kind of taught, go work for a big company. You make them a lot of money. They give you a little portion of that, and then life is good, right? So I was doing that. I was doing very well. I actually ended up in my 4th year there in corporate sales. I kind of got moved up from business to corporate sales, and I became number 1 in the country.
Wow.
Out of 10,000 reps. Yeah, I was super excited.
Can I interrupt for a second? I've got a really funny question. Maybe it's not funny. So if you're doing sales of cellular phones, did you cold call using those cellular phones?
Yes.
So I'm just imagining a conversation where it's like, hey, Mr. Prospect, I'm actually using one of the phones right now. Yeah. Was it that? Hopefully it wasn't that cheesy.
You're laughing now because our days phones is everywhere. But back then, this was when they were going from CDMA to TDMA, and that was when you would call someone and be like, it was, and this was when, if you went, I don't know if you remember, but you'd have a map of the area, and it was there'd be an edge of part of the town, it would just all of a sudden drop. Yeah. Okay, so that's what I was selling into. I was selling into but if you just go 10 miles that way, you have total service. You're like, what about the other 2 miles? Yeah, we don't have service there. So you had to really, and our biggest clients were construction workers, and the challenge with construction workers is they were out in the boondocks, and they're like, my phone doesn't work. So, and we were selling people into the digital. I was there when it was the first Nokia 2160. I actually was there, got my first text message in 1999.
Wow.
When the Nokia company, the representatives came in and gave us all phones, and they said, well, there's this thing called text messaging. And I'm like, what's that? And of course we had each other's number, and my friend across the table text messaged me hi. And I'm like, oh my God, I got it. Look. Everyone's like, what? I'm like, look, see, he texts me across the table. Look at that. It was just
and it probably costs $4 too, right?
Well, that for us, it was free because we were with the client company. But,
because it's so funny because, when you get used to things, you assume they've always been, and obviously they haven't.
No, voicemail. You were there in voicemail, the first voicemail, first text message of cell phones. They didn't have, everyone, guys, look, voicemail wasn't always on cell phones. It would just ring.
Yeah.
And then it would stop actually.
Well,
And
my
then,
first cell phone, I didn't have text message capabilities. Or maybe I had the capabilities, but I didn't want to pay for it. So I just had like a phone. But my first one was maybe 2004, 2005, I think.
oh my gosh. Yeah.
A late bloomer, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. I had my first phone was 1998.
Wow. And I remember the ones that plugged into the car too.
Whoop, whoop. Yeah. That was back in the day, right? So
sorry, I totally threw you off your story.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Pretty crazy. It's okay. It's fine. So basically I was in outside sales and number one in the country, and I got this little pat on the head. I got, they flew me to Arizona and I got to handshake the president and all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
And I thought, wow, I'm doing pretty good because I'm only like 26 or 7 at the time. I'm young.
Mm-hmm.
And the average person in the room, average coworker was male, 40s,
Mm-hmm.
And so I thought I'm doing pretty good, man. I'm rocking it. And then I got fired. I'm confused.
Wasn't expecting that.
Really, yeah, it really hit me because it was politics. It was politics in the office. I mean, I was younger than everybody. I was kind of cute, and I was making a crap load of money, and I was single, and I had no kids, and so it was a lot of jealousy.
Yeah.
And I didn't know how to deal with that. Like, I didn't know how to deal with politics. I was just like doing what I was supposed to be doing, which is selling. So I got fired mainly just out of that. / we're firing you / you can put your resignation in, one of those type of things.
So I was
like, okay, yeah. And I really threw me for a loop because I just really didn't know what to do. I just graduated college. I had just got that, and of course all my friends were like, well, just go get another job. And that's all I knew is I didn't want that. Make sense? So
yeah.
I just sat back for a couple months because I had some money saved and just kind of hung out. Like, I don't know. I went on a few interviews. It was just like not feeling right. So long story short, I'm sitting there and my girlfriend just got engaged. My girlfriend had just gotten engaged, married, just went to her wedding.
Mm-hmm.
It was Sunday afternoon. And her new husband's like flipping the channel kind of thing. And he lands on this infomercial. And he lands on like an infomercial that all I can remember was like this dude. And he was like, do you want to control your life? Do you want to make money? And do you want to control it? And I'm like, yeah, that's all I do. And I'm writing down like, be at our seminar tomorrow at 1:00 at this hotel. And I'm like writing it down, not telling my girlfriend like, oh yeah, you can change the channel. I'm not watching that. So I go to the seminar, 1:00. I sit in a room. For you millennials out there, it's called a room, not a webinar.
Not a webinar, yeah.
I'm kidding. Give you a hard time. So I had to go somewhere and park. Anyway. So I sat there in the webinar. I'm just kidding. I was sat there in the room with about 100 of the people, and they're doing a whole pitch for an hour and a half. They're selling me into like how to buy and sell houses or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it sounded great to me, right? Control your destiny, make money. And of course, they pitched me for like $3,000. And I didn't have that.
Right.
I was like, I can't do that. But then they said the magic words. They said, but for your spouse, it's 1,000. And so I nudged the guy next to me, told a stranger. And I was like, can I be your spouse? He's like, sure. What's your name? So we go to the back of the room and I'm giving my credit card, different last name, different address, whole thing. I mean, like they knew, right? I'm totally lying. I don't have a ring on, nothing. So, of course, they take my money. Of course, they're going to take my money. They're like, sure, we'll take your money. So they took my $1,000. And the next week, my quote unquote spouse didn't show up to the next week's event. They asked me, where's your spouse? I'm like, I don't know. So I went to a 3-day event. Long story short, the company who was like running everything was kind of like, what's your deal? Like, you're young. Like, what's your story? This is like odd for you to be here. And I told them my deal, what happened, kind of situation. And they go, why don't you come work with us? So I moved to Orlando and started traveling the country. And so here I am teaching how to buy and sell houses. I've been doing it on the side.
Yeah. And
I started to learn the art of information marketing and copywriting. And like, that's how I got into business. That's actually how I got started.
Accidental.
Like, total accident. I think that entrepreneurship finds us. We don't find it. I think that's one of the challenges right now is a lot of even the millennials and also younger. It's like cool to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
It's not cool. It's really hard. It's not. You don't get to go to happy hour at 5:30. You're working. So I think it's a misleading that it is cool when it works and you really know how to dedicate, but it's not cool when your buddies are out like at 5 o'clock on Friday at 5:30 and they still make $150,000 a year and you're hanging out like, I can't, so that's where it's not cool and it's for work.
Yeah, there's a grind to that. I mean, there's a lot of security if you have a secure job. And I mean, I get there's probably tons of people listening who their corporate job may not be that secure and that easy. But whether you're pursuing entrepreneurship or rapid career growth, you're going to have to make sacrifices if you want something. But even within that, I think you can accidentally land in opportunities kind of like you talked about. You can accidentally walk into a room and all of a sudden become an entrepreneur. Similar, you can accidentally walk into your boss's office and get a promotion. Now, I don't mean that there's no intent behind the actions, but there's opportunities everywhere, and I think how you respond to the situations that you're put in and how hard you work when you're given those opportunities creates where you end up. I mean, you could have easily gone to that thing and said, I don't have $30,000, too bad. You took advantage of an opportunity. So as much as I'm making fun of it saying it's an accident, well, I mean, you had to put the work in, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, entrepreneurship, it's just work. I just want to make sure I'm clear. I'm not selling, be an entrepreneur and it's easy. It's not, it's a lot of dedication and a lot of hard work, mainly because it's a mindset shift, right?
Yeah.
So, and you're creating everything. So yeah.
Yeah. So I've got a question. Sure. If you're to flip back in time and talk to the excellent salesperson, who's having trouble with that whole political arena thing, like, what advice do you give yourself? Have you learned something through that that's like, hey, if I went back in time, I'd do this differently? Is it partly to do with others and not necessarily you? Like, is it? I don't want to assume that you're a victim here, but I'm wondering what your perspective on that is. Yeah,
it was because I was a woman. And there was not much I could change. If I could go back, I would have been more aware and sensitive to the fact. But at the same time, if I was more aware and sensitive to it, I wouldn't have done as well. Because I would have had a feeling like, oh, I don't want to upset the boys.
Right.
And you can't do that in sales. You can't be like, oh, I don't want to upset my coworkers. Like they're kind of my enemy in sales. Like they're who I'm up against every single month. I mean, it was a hardcore sales environment.
Yep.
Every single week we'd have our like numbers up in front of everybody. You knew who was winning every single week.
Yeah, I've been in a very similar environment. And as much as there's they're also competition.
Yeah, they're competition enemies. So you don't want to tell their secrets, So there was an upset that I really didn't have much control of, other than the fact of like I didn't get that piece. I just wasn't like, oh, why? I figured y'all be happy. I'm a woman winning. Why would you not be happy? I'm confused. So it was new for me. It was also a very large company. It was a Fortune 500 company, and I didn't play well there. There's a lot of things in that space. You just need to, make sure you're buddy with the people you need to be buddy with. And I just wasn't. I was just focused on selling.
Yeah.
So,
which isn't a bad thing.
I found out that it's just not my fit for me. It's not a fit for me. I don't do well in big corporate environments like that. It's not a fit for me.
Interestingly, though, there's actually a really good lesson in there, because I think that sometimes people, regardless of what situation that you're in, sometimes people do worry way too much what other people are thinking, and there's something to be said for keeping your head down and just working. I mean, obviously, in your case, in the end, it ended up in a bad situation, but
it wasn't bad. I don't want to put it out there. It wasn't bad. It was just something I hadn't really dealt with.
Okay.
And it was new. I didn't. If someone said, "Hey, they don't like you because you're a woman," I would have been like, huh, weird. It just, it didn't faze me. So what was going on is like on a political, I say political just because it kind of covers it, but it's dealing with humans and security. I was given an assistant when I got promoted a year or so before that. And I was given the assistant, and it was a man, he was super nice, male. He was 10 years older than me. He made a quarter of what I made. And he was my assistant. Okay, so the role right there was not set up right, because there was a lot of talk in the office. I couldn't have controlled that. I was
Yeah.
given him, right? So, and he was there working every day 9 to 5. And like I had created my first marketing funnel. And so last year I was there, but when I hit number 1 in, I was there from like 10 to 2. I barely worked because I created this whole marketing funnel. I created my first marketing funnel. And again, it was like, thank God no one told me. There was this whole thing going on in the background because I just was like, oh, look, I don't have to work that hard. I just have to like make this marketing funnel and then I can hang out at the beach all day or something, and I kind of did.
Yeah.
And people like, how are you making $110,000 a year plus like barely working so what I realized is that they're not wrong. I was a wrong fit. It was like putting a round peg in a square hole.
Right.
That's all that was. And so I realized that, and it was, I realized it years later, not the time.
Yeah.
But that makes more sense. That makes sense because I don't want to feel like I don't want to sound like a victim to it, as I'm not. But at the same time, it's like I didn't know what I didn't know.
Yeah,
and that was really good.
Through that experience, looking back, it's easy to see you're now in a business where you thrive because of that mentality.
Exactly.
And so I actually really like that. I guess my follow-up question then would be, that's going back, 15 years at least, right?
Yeah. 90. So the year that I was number 1 was 2000, right before 9/11.
Okay. So, yeah. So, I'm wondering, do you think things have changed? Do you think that women today go through the same struggle? Is it a different struggle? Like what's changed in the last 15 years? And I'm going to preface it by saying, diversity and inclusion is a huge topic. Companies are paying attention. Personally, I don't think anything's fixed. But it's a big topic these days. So do you think that there's a difference? Do you think that there's women today going through exactly what you went through?
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's still a huge gender gap, especially when it comes to technical sales. It just the study just came out about Google. It's like if you're Indian and a dude in Google, you'll do great. If you're a white girl in Google, like have fun. I don't think so. So, and there's studies that show. Massive studies. The studies are just like proof, And I think a lot of that had to do with the fact that, and it sounds you could take this the way you want to take it. I'm pretty. I'm blonde. I've got a really nice body, and that plays hugely against me.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I'm in corporate world and there's you next to me, even though you're 10 years younger than me, and you're married, and you're younger, and you're a man, you're gonna get opportunities over me, and I'm 10 years older, and I look good, and I got big boobs. Why? It's not personal. It's like it's still this kind of gender conversation. And I'm not married. That was a big one too. I wasn't married. I wasn't busting out children. I didn't have kids. I wasn't married. That was a big no-no. You're single. You're good looking, and you're making $110,000 a year. There's a problem. They didn't like that. And is it happening today? Oh my God, yes. Absolutely. The gender gap is still there, especially in pay.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I've worked 8 years in a sales environment, and I will not lie and tell you that this didn't happen. It absolutely happened. The pretty women went, and if they were successful, the comments around the office were, well, she didn't earn it. She just had to walk in and
Exactly.
It's in a manufacturing plant. Of course, the guys haven't seen a girl all day, and all of a sudden she walks in. Of course, she's gonna get the sale. It doesn't make it right, but I think you are correct that it is something that happens and will continue to happen. Unfortunately, I think that's just kind of the way things are, and I think that's an individual issue.
It's changing, but it's not changing that much. We'd love to say that it's changing that much, but it's not, especially in the gender gap of money and salary.
Yeah.
So just so what people always ask me, how did you even get into that job? Right. Here's what happened. I went to apply for that job. This is like the 4 years prior. Right. And the guy, his name was Mike. He was the sales manager, and he kind of giggled at me. He was like, "Oh, I think you're in the wrong place." And I'm like, "No, I want the sales job." And he's like, "No, I have, I'm cute." Right. And he's like, "You need to be in customer service and be in the front, be customer service, and blah blah blah."
Yeah.
That's where all the girls were, is customer service. And I said, no, I want to be B2B sales. He's like, no, maybe inside sales. No, I want to be and he kind of giggled like, you're not going to, because he knew the people in the back in the outside sales rep were men, 40, married, like that.
Yeah.
And I said, no. And I was like, no, I want that. And so he did it as like a joke, because he went to his boss, who happened to be a woman. There's very few women leaders in that business, telecommunications. She brought me in the next week, and she sat me down, and she's looking at me, and she's like, what is your deal? And I'm like, no, I want to be in sales. And she just kind of had this look, and she's like, okay, look, it's really competitive, and it is a swinging door, which it is, especially telecommunications and those kinds of sales. It's like a swinging door, they call it. And I'm like, I know. She's like, okay, look, okay, I'm going to say yes to this, but I just want to know, if it doesn't work out, we'll definitely put you in customer service. Like, you still have a job. Okay. And I'm like, okay. And I say, therefore, like, for me, 4 years, I think the desk next to me in 4 years probably got 10, 15 people rotated through that sucker, Hey, hi, what's your name? I don't even know your name. Sam, Julie. I mean, because it's a rotating, it's like that. It's B2B, it's hardcore sales. If you don't make your quota, you're out. That's how it goes.
Yep.
So I was there for 4 years. I was considered senior. I was over like a ton of people. I was almost the youngest one. I was the only female in the business to business. Everyone else all the females there were customer service. They were my like support for me. So I wasn't supposed to be there. I wasn't supposed to be there. And so I remember when Mike decided to move on or whatever, he was like, man, I really thought you would like make it like 2 months. And I'm like, I'm still here. In fact, you're leaving before, I think, does it happen today? Yes, because people look at me and they totally underestimated me, and they put me in a category. They didn't know me. They didn't understand me. They didn't understand what drives me. They didn't understand my background. They didn't understand my mindset. They just said, oh, you're cute, blonde with nice boobs. You should probably be in customer service.
Yeah, well, I mean, and
people do that all the day long.
Yeah, and it ultimately comes down to what you're saying earlier. I mean, we're human, and anytime you get a whole bunch of humans in a room, there's going to be problems because we're not perfect.
But instead of saying, "Oh, poor me," I said, "No, I want to prove it. Like, give me a chance, and I'm gonna prove." And they did. And then I did. So, and then they loved me, but it was an interesting dynamic. And the reason I'm sharing this is not out of like victim or feel sorry for me or down on them. None of that. It was just that people will put you in a category, especially nowadays. There's a lot of things about culture and black and white and Hispanic, and people go, oh, poor me. I'm this. And so they put me in this category. It's like, you let them put you in that category. You let them put you in that category. You get to say that you're a no and you want something more. And if I had let them and said, oh, you think I should be in customer service? I would have been a customer service girl forever. They would never move me up. So I think that it's like up to us to say, yes, there's cultural issues. Yes, there's racism, but it's up to us to take a stand personally for ourselves. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it absolutely does. And there's two places I want to go with this. First of all, can you tell me a little bit about how you've taken these experiences and incorporated them into your business? Because not only are you not claiming to be a victim, you've embraced who you are, and that seems to really carry out in your brand. I mean, you're not shying away. You're sexy boss. I mean, how are you leveraging your past experiences, and how are you leveraging this to, I guess, to fuel your business? Like, what exactly do you do?
Okay, great. So what I do now, I mean, I have 4 online companies, and I weight loss company here in Austin with my fiance, as well as a supplement company. I also own an online newsletter, dating business, where I teach men how to date women. And then the Sexy Boss is really where I work with people one-on-one, entrepreneurs that want to take their business to another level. And the people that I work with are twofold. One, they've done something and made their first dollar. They're like, oh, I have this thing, I made my first dollar. Cool, that was really cool. Like, can I do more of that? And then the other entrepreneur I work with they're really in the business a lot. They've made about a million maybe or a half a million themselves. They're like a solo entrepreneur with a small little team. And they're like, how do I expand myself? Right. That's who I work with. Mainly because I understand that. Now, you asked me how I use my past to help create and leverage the future.
Yes.
My book, Sexy Boss, is really about my story of how I had to learn to be a woman in business, not be a business and a woman, if that makes sense. Let me explain.
Yeah.
So there was a period though when I was traveling a lot, because I traveled only with men back in 2001 through 2006.
Yep.
There was a period of my life, if you had met me, I wore turtlenecks, I covered myself, I wore big jackets, I wore flats, I wore browns, my hair was brown. I really tried to cover up being a woman. And a lot of that was because of what happened in corporate America. I felt like, oh, being a woman's bad. And so I thought I had to really become more of a man in business. And so during that time, if you met me, I was way more harsh. I was probably a bee with, witch with a bee. Because I felt like I had to emulate the men that were successful. And then I had to like cover up and push down being a woman because that was bad. And it wasn't till I had a massive change in my life. I went through massive bankruptcy. I lost my entire house, my business, everything. I literally got wiped out through a business deal. That I had to learn that me being a woman was my strength. And how to be a woman and a businesswoman at the same time. And that's why the sexy boss, because the sexy part is about owning who you are, the feminine energy of a woman. And the boss part, really all that is being responsible for all areas of your life. It's not necessarily being a boss over others or dominating, which is where I came from, because I feel like I had to be. It's not. I don't do that. I'm partner with people. People work with me. I don't ever consider them like over me or under me or none of that. So it's twofold. It's owning that feminine energy as being a woman. Like I wear skirts and heels and stuff like that and get my hair done and like all that, right? I'm like being a woman, and the boss is owning all areas of my life. And that's why I call Sexy Boss today. And I feel like that other women need to have or could potentially have me as a mentor, even if it's from afar, because they can see, oh, there's strength in being a woman and being a businesswoman.
Yeah, love all that. And I like how you explained the boss part, because I mean it's similar to like you are the CEO of your life. You make the decisions, and you are you can control what you can control. You can be a boss. So I love that. All right, so here's the other direction I wanted to take it. We're not going to get through even two of the questions I had planned, but that's okay. So I'm wondering if I'm listening today, and I want you to answer for both perspectives. Let's say I'm a man listening today, and I lead women on my team, whether I'm a business owner or I'm in corporate America. How do I leverage the strengths of my female team members? And then the second question is going to be, what if I'm a woman as the leader? Any, I guess, general advice for that? So could you answer on both those sides?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll start with the male side. The male side is if you're a man and you're leading a team of women, or just men and women, right? The women in your office desire you to be what I call the tree, okay? And to be the source of somebody that they can make sure that they get the right information from, and that you're going to treat everyone on the same level, right? So if you're going to be harsh with the guy, you be harsh with her. If you're going to be soft with the guy, soft with the other teammate guy, then you be soft with her. Like she just wants to know that you're treating everyone the same, right? Number one. And you need to speak that. It's what I call speak to it. Number two, a woman, and this is just both, a woman wants to know that their boss, let's say their boss, supports them in being great. and knows that they feel supported so they can go out there and shine. Really? I think that's the job of any leader and any company. It's like if they are running a team, their job is to find out what the talents are of their team and then give them the tools and the support they need to go out there and run.
Yeah.
That's their job.
I love that because, you even mentioned it earlier, but when you're talking about your career in sales, your superiors didn't know you, or you felt that they didn't know your background, they didn't know what drove you, they didn't know what you were passionate about. And yeah, I mean, men or women leading men or women, it's the same. People, you need to get to know your team and what's important to them if you're going to lead them properly.
Yes, very, very true. In fact, I'd suggest the Strength Finders test.
Yeah.
I just took that myself again for the second time in a couple of years, and then I just had my entire team take it. And what's really cool about that, and I gave them my results. I did it and gave them my results. I go, look, this is me. So they can understand me. And then I asked for their results, and then I'm sharing them with everybody else so that they can understand people's talents. And because Strength Finders test, even though that's the name of it, what it really is a talent finder test. And you start to see their talents. And so you can go, oh, you're really good at this. This is your talent. It's your talent. So let me play into that. Let me support you here so you can thrive more versus like giving you detail work if you hate detail work kind of thing. As far as the female to female, that's a big one. And that's a big one because women can be catty. Right? Shocker.
I'm not saying
it. Right. No, they can't. I mean, they can, right? They totally can be. And I feel like the women leaders have to go a little extra step to over communicate, especially to their the women with them, to make sure they know that they got your back. The I as a leader got their back. It's appreciated. It goes a long way. Because there's an element to women, especially boss, whatnot. There's a desire to always be supported by the woman, but there's not automatic. Like, let me explain. Guys, you guys are like, what's up, bro? Bro, what's up? I got your back. Yo. Yeah, beer together? Like, I gotcha. It's automatic. You don't have to like say it to another guy. Like, I really got you, Bob. Like, I really get, you won't say that to each other. Okay. Y'all won't say that. You'd be like, we're at a bar, guy. Like, don't say that to me. You sound weird. That's not how guys communicate. And that's not how they say to each other, I got your back. They're like, hey, you want to get a beer? Yeah, man, you're cool. Right?
Yeah.
Women communicate differently to especially other women. So I would say if there's a woman listening who has some kind of element of team, is saying that extra little step to say, look, I have your back. And what I want is I want you to thrive. If that's true for you, that goes a long way.
Yeah, it does.
It goes a long way. And I know sometimes it's like, well, it's automatic. It's not automatic. One of my leaders actually was a female when I was in the field, and she was amazing. She said, over communicate with me. Like, just over communicate with me. I'm going to over communicate with you. And just the feeling of over communication, it actually wasn't over, it was just communication.
Yeah.
Is that I felt like she got my back. She always responded to me, no matter what. She always got back to me as fast as she possibly could. Right? Even if maybe she didn't know the answer, she got back. And I felt I was supported. And that's the number one key. If you listen to women who do exit interviews across the country in their companies, the number one thing they feel is they don't feel they were supported. So that's a big one.
Yeah, I absolutely. And some great advice. And I feel like I could probably talk to you for another hour about this because it's really interesting. But we're totally running out of time. So we're going to just skip ahead. And why don't you just tell us before we say goodbye, what's going on in your world? What's got you excited these days? How are things going in your business? And how can we, if we're listening today, connect with you? And why would we want to? There's a whole bunch in there, but...
We're skipping around. That's fine. So first of all, I have a podcast and I have also a radio show. I'm on 45 different radio stations across the country. And as of now, June 1st, I'm going to be starting a TV show with U2 America, which I'm super excited about.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm throwing myself in. Why not? So my podcast, I would love for you to listen to it. I actually interview other entrepreneurs. You can go to heatherhavenwood.com/podcast. Of course, it's called The Win. It is, of course, on Stitcher, Google Play, and iTunes and iHeart as well. So what am I creating? So, I'd like to give your people a gift of my book, Sexy Boss, my audio book. I did place my book into the audio format. And I can give you 3 free chapters of my audio book, one of 2 ways. If you're in the United States, you can text the word sexy to 72000. Text the word sexy to 72000. Or if you're not in the United States, it doesn't work for some reason, not in the United States, I am super, super sorry. You can go to Sexy Boss Inc., sexybossinc.com. Please put the Inc., because I do not know it's a sexyboss.com. Just saying.
And
just
you
saying.
should be careful with that.
Just saying.
Especially if you're at work.
Especially if you're at work. I'm just saying, giving you a heads up. So sexybossinc.com, and you can enter your name and email and get you 3 free chapters of my audiobook there as well.
Awesome. Cool. Well, I wish we had more time. There's so much more I wish we could be chatting about, but it is time to say goodbye. So thank you so much for your time today, Heather. I will make sure that I get all of those links to your stuff in the show notes. So if you want to follow up and don't remember what you just said, or you're driving right now and can't write it down, just go over to yourbestmanager.com. It's really easy. You can just search Heather from the homepage or sexy, because I'm pretty sure Heather's show notes will be the only thing that comes up if you search sexy on my website, and you'll find everything from today's episode. And managers, I'm not sure if you're traveling to or from work right now, getting a workout in, or simply taking some time to relax and listen, but I hope that you've been encouraged and inspired from our conversation with Heather Havenwood. Heather, thanks again for sharing some of your story with the next generation of leaders. I truly appreciate it, and we'll talk soon.
Okay, thank you.
All right, everyone, that does it for today's episode. Thank you so much for listening. Now hop over to yourbestmanager.com and take advantage of the free tools, resources, and training which I've created exclusively for you, the next generation of leaders. Oh, and have fun.